What was that? What? What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town.
What up, weirdos out there in Weirdo Land? We have got a full house tonight. We got the whole team together. We got a Sweet Denny's. We got a Ryan Beckett. We got, I believe, Vickie tonight.
We're stoked about it.
So far, and we had a little text thread going, and she was kind of being a dick, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Keep it going, Vickie. We also got a full audience tonight. Woo! We have 2 people in our audience, and it's awesome. We got a Joe Ponton, and we got a Ryan Beckett's friend from Philadelphia. What's his name?
Steve Garofalo.
Oh, look at that. We got a first and last name.
You doxed him.
Doxed his ass.
You just doxed your
I
friend.
just don't know the etiquette sometimes.
Well, what are your guys' thoughts? Speaking of doxing, that is such a popular topic.
I haven't heard it.
Are you for doxing? Let's start with you, Vickie. If someone's a real slime ball, but not a criminal, but they're an asshole, are you for or against doxing their ass?
Every possible piece of information that I can get out, I will.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You would willingly go out on social media. Let's say you did not like Beckett, but he's not doing anything illegal, but he's a real cock. He takes your parking spot at work. He flips his sweet ass hair. He gets some of his hairdressing in your eye, and he doesn't give a shit.
Not a problem.
You put his information out there?
Yeah, unfortunately, though, I do have to, because some people do say things about you. They make assumptions on what you're like based on, your looks and stuff. And I defend you all the time.
Aw, thank you, Vickie.
I say he's actually a really, really nice guy.
He's a fucking sweetheart. Oh,
thank you.
If you don't get Beckett's act, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Denny's, doxing somebody, what would it take for you to go publicly and put someone's information out there to where you feel
dox someone?
To
I would never
legit
do that.
dox them? You would never.
They would have to be really messed up. They would have had to. That would be trying to ruin someone's life. So it would have to be of a caliber that you would consider ruining that person's life. But there's people who have names similar to people who have done bad things, and they feel the repercussions of it, and they just have a similar name to somebody.
So we had a KVJ Nationer, and she would go on social media all the time and say crazy shit about all of the people on her friends list. And one time she made a post talking about this girl and how this girl had herpes, and really she said her name, tagged her in it.
That's ruining lives.
Legally, can you even to me that's a form of doxing. So, no?
I think you could take that stuff to court, and you go through a legal proceeding.
So first off, I haven't heard doxing.
Okay.
Is that a new
term?
No.
Okay.
Is that a new term?
Go ahead, Denny. In layman's terms, what's doxing?
It's revealing somebody's personal information on the internet with the intent of people attacking them, using that information maliciously against them.
For example,
releasing your address, releasing your phone number.
For example, if a guy beats up his girlfriend, he gets arrested for it, people will take his information and put it all over the internet. That'd be an example of doxing, and they feel justified to do that. But what he did would be illegal. I'm talking at a point where someone's just an asshole. And to me, when that girl put the herpes thing with the name tagged on there, whether it's true or not, and if it's not true, I think it's slander or libel or whatever.
Yeah, it would be.
And if it is true, I think, isn't that kind of, does that go under some kind of a weird medical thing where you can't tell people's...
Not if they're not the medical professional themselves.
So you can ruin people's lives by doing that.
Well, because you can go and say anything you want to anyone.
You may not... You may not be, I just know enough to be dangerous on it. You may not be criminally in trouble, but you could get sued for damages.
Absolutely.
Take that shit to people's court.
Yeah.
One of those ones where it's goofy, 30 minutes. It's on during lunch. I love a court show during lunchtime.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the best.
I kind of think whether you believe in karma, it kind of it tips the energy a little bit. I think you start doing that to someone, I feel like it boomerangs back on you.
Well, when it comes to karma, if you did something shitty in your past and something starts to something shitty starts to happen to you, you at least have to have the thought of going, did I fuck up and give a little karma going on here?
Yeah, but I think it would make a difference, like the one, like you use the example of herpes. Well, if she's going around screwing everybody and people don't know about the herpes, you're doing a public service by calling her out.
But how do we know that's true, though? What if someone is telling people they've got that disease and someone just got an axe to grind and they go, oh, Vickie's got the chlamydia.
Well, I'm just saying, if the stuff is true, and the example was if the person was an extreme a-hole, It might actually be a public service. And as far as our information, you could find my name, phone number, address, and everything right now. It's a simple people search.
But I also think there is a exclamation point. Let's go fuck off with their head. Let's go kill them. Everybody.
Send in the mob.
Yeah, send in the mob kind of thing.
Ooh.
Eliciting rape.
Especially nowadays.
Dennis, you're a sweet soul. You're not a doxing type.
Yeah,
You're not a dox sucker. You are. You are. But I guess my question would be, what level of what would it take for you to get a revenge?
If somebody was, I don't know, I guess if somebody was stalking you and you were trying to get them to stop and you've gone to the police and it's not happening and you're looking for some street justice, then maybe in that case, I could see maybe, hey, doxing somebody or getting somebody's information just so people would try to ruin their life so they understand.
Is there any SJ living in you? Street justice?
Do you like that term?
I love street justice term. I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't think of what would cause me to
I
dox
think
somebody.
harm on a loved one that they don't get convicted on, where they walk on a technicality and the law or
That's what I'm saying,
justice
in a
isn't
street
served.
justice
Yeah.
situation would be the only case I can imagine doing that.
I also, by nature, am not a doc sucker, and and I found in retrospect that not because I'm a good guy per se, but because I find it interesting looking back. When something's been done to me, I can sometimes and often eat a humble pie. It's water off a duck's back. I move on.
Yes.
How many more cliches you want to work on?
The times that I've been like lost my temper, which never happens on one hand, is when something was done to someone I really care about. I lost my mind.
Could you imagine Beckett and Denny's getting mad together?
We're two people I don't see getting
Most
flying off
boring
the
fight
handle.
ever.
The most boring, lame fight.
Here's the cool thing about when Denny's and I get mad. It scares people because we never get mad.
That's right.
So if Denny's is pissed, people start to freak out because, like, I have a Jersey friend that I'm really close with, and he's always yelling. He's got a vein coming out of his head.
That's so weird from Jersey.
Right? Exactly. And you kind of, like, lose, like, your, shock by him being upset because he's always upset. He's always yelling. It's almost part of his shtick, right?
Yeah.
But with someone like Denny's, like, say if he was pissed,
He raged.
I
on
would
both
be
sides.
I would be more scared than anyone in this room.
I would turn Rambo.
Well, I would also think
go
that
insane.
if Denny slammed some shit down and stormed out of the room, I would know at that point it's not that did that. There's something else building inside.
the escalation of
Yeah,
everything.
because he don't get mad. He
Not
just
all
doesn't get
stuff
mad
like-
like that. There's something else building that he said, finally, I can't fucking deal with
It's
this
the
anymore.
falling down moment.
Which everybody has. I don't care how peaceful you are.
Oh, yeah.
You have your breaking point, and you can be...
Steve's the nicest guy I know and also has no temper at all. But remember, he's from Philly. Back in college, the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, I think it was the Super Bowl.
Oh,
and so he had left 4 wings in his to-go order in the kitchen. So I came home, had a few beers and whatever. I hit the 4 wings.
You ate them.
I ate them. So he came home from a Eagles loss in the Super Bowl.
Oh, and he was so looking forward to those
All
wings,
he wanted
man.
was the 4 wings.
Gosh, I know.
And I was sitting on the couch at our townhouse in college. He goes, "Who are my effing wings?" Takes the bag of to-go and chucks it against the wall and storms out of the house. I've never seen him mad before. I mean, I was like one of those things. Like I was kind of scared, but I was almost like, "You're not supposed to be laughing," but I was like dying laughing.
Some of the worst fights in my life I've ever seen has been over food. I shit you not, man.
Definitely.
But all good stuff. Very, very good, guys. Speaking of Philly, I believe they threw batteries at Santa Claus one year.
Snowballs.
Yeah.
Was it batteries too?
I heard
They're known for their riots.
I heard Philly used to throw batteries at players,
sports.
Santa,
Hang
kids.
on. They're getting a run for their money. I heard the Celtics fans booed the Prince and the Princess or whatever they're called.
Dennis, what are your thoughts on the Celtics defense this year? Just kidding. Let's get into some Ask Vickie. Vickie, you weren't here on the last podcast. You were missed, of course. Vickie is our resident. Psychic medium is the respectful term.
Psychic medium professional paranormal investigator.
Oh, wow.
So it rattles right off the tongue.
Yes, it does.
Very easy to say.
Make an acronym.
Oh, yeah, and I have a degree in education.
You need to make an acronym for everyone's doing acronyms. You
I
gotta
think
do
they're
it.
cool.
You look like a doctor. I love that. Ask Vickie. Vickie, how many times have psychics really helped solve a criminal case? And do you believe in that? The email is kind of lengthy. It was someone that lost a loved one during mysterious circumstances, and they don't know what happened. They thought somebody they knew was the murderer, so they hired a psychic medium, and the psychic medium said it wasn't him. Now, let's say it really was him, and then this psychic medium gives them that kind of information. That hinders the whole case. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think if you're going to call in a psychic medium for any criminal case, that they need to take that as one possible scenario and keep investigating every other scenario and every lead that they were going on. I always tell people in a reading, take what I say with a grain of salt, that I don't pretend like I know everything. So put what I say in the back of your mind. You may want to use my advice, you may not, but don't act like I'm telling you the absolute gospel of what's going on.
And you're okay with admitting to being wrong?
Yeah, I always say, this may be, information. And sometimes I'll say something, they're like, no, I'm like, okay, just let me know if it changes. And then, maybe a week or so, oh yeah, you were right.
Well,
but
when you say too, sometimes you can give a reading to somebody. Let's say you have a reading for Beckett and you sense something and nothing happens in 6 months, but maybe something happens in 3 years and he looks back and goes, oh shit, I thought Vickie was full of shit, but then that happened, and it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Is that a cop-out for psychics? Because eventually you can connect the dots, or is that really true?
it depends on, there's a case where I just talked to somebody like a couple weeks ago, and I read for her a few years ago. And I saw that her supposed to be her best friend was going to do this, this, and this. And she did not. She believed everything else I said. She said, there's no way that she's right. That's great. 80%. Great job, Vickie. I just read for her and she said, oh, by the way, what you said about my best friend, absolutely right. She did everything that you said she was going to do. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's a crapshoot and it may happen way beyond what I tell people. If I'm giving you a prediction, the closer time that prediction is supposed to happen, the more accurate it's going to be. So if something happens 3 years from now, I'm not going to take credit even if I told you that 3 years ago. That's way too far my span to take any credit for it.
Becca, you have a thought?
Yeah, so I was going to say, so that's happened with Vickie and I. So I had this girl I was dating, and Vickie said, send me a picture. So she read the picture, and she didn't text me back. We went to the studio, and then
Damn, you ghosted him, so to speak?
No, because she said that what I was going to tell you, I didn't want to put over text. Like, I felt like I had to tell you in person. And it wasn't a shining review of the girlfriend.
Yeah, I've given Vickie one of those, and she did not give the last picture.
Yeah.
Was. We'll talk.
And the reason I brought it up, it's not that it didn't sound like it wasn't true or per se, but I didn't know till like 3 months later what she said ended up being true.
The picture I showed you, Vic, you remember that? That was let's not get into a timeline. 'Cause I don't like dox myself.
Right.
But you had said, do you remember what the critique was? It was something about she's gonna try to change you, controlling.
Well, I've read a couple. You've given me a couple through the.
But not too many. Not too many.
Yeah.
Not too many.
That was the one we were in the kitchen, right?
That was.
Yeah, I remember that one.
No. What kitchen? Doesn't matter. Come on. It could have been any kitchens. Vickie, what the fuck? I've only been here. Now, let's move on.
It's tough not to get doxed.
Yeah. I'm such a dox sucker. I'm a dox sucker of my own bullshit.
Anyway, did you find out that to be
let's move
true?
on. That's why you don't do whiskey before a show. You get a little too honest. All right,
Let me
another
tell you
question.
more.
Another question for Vickie. What was your scariest investigation you've ever been? I know we've talked about a little bit about that, but has there been one where you feel like fear played a factor where it hindered you?
I've never been that scared of any location. There's been
Balls
places,
of steel.
I mean, there's been places I've been a little uncomfortable, but I've never felt the need to run. Probably the coolest experience when I was scratched twice at the Cuban Club over in Ybor City. And both were on investigations. I was on Florida Ghost Team at the time. And the first time I was on monitor duty, and I felt a pain in my hand. But when you're on monitor duty, like all you see is this big light in your face. And the person who ran Florida Ghost Team, you didn't ask for a break until it was time for a break. So I'm like, ow, I don't touch anything. I end up going to the restroom with another investigator, and I look down, and I had been scratched so deep that it drew blood. it wasn't scary to me. It was like, maybe I was a little offended. Like, what did I do to you? And then I went back to the same location because this happened in the theater, the Cuban Club. I went back and I was on the stage in the Cuban Club and I said, last time I was here, you scratched me. Can you tell me why? And I felt something on my arm and I said, I held my arms up like this and I told the other person I was with, let's go out to the lobby. I don't want to touch my arms. And when I went out, I had 3 scratches that went all the way from my wrist all the way to my elbow.
Damn, Denny's. You hear scratches. You hear ghosts.
I hear you. It's compelling.
Spirits, thoughts.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'd have to go into this place and see what I would feel as well. I guess it's just kind of hard to
I get
share
it.
in the experience.
Now, Vickie, the last question I got is a personal question. I've had my brother staying with me for the last month or so, month plus. I've felt a change of energy here, and there is a completely new energy. I swear, I haven't even talked about it on the KVJ show. It would be the size of that stormtrooper right here. I'm going to show it on the. It's about that size. Can you see that on the camera?
Looks
Okay.
great.
I would say, and it looks like a ball of energy, but kind of like a figure of sorts, and it scampers right through that little portal that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's orange and fuzzy looking. An orange, fuzzy type of color. Almost kind of like, I don't want to say illuminate, but it's got that feel to it. Thoughts on that?
Interesting. I mean, maybe you're seeing it in such a pure energy form. That's why it has that particular color.
But because my brother is here, kind of changing the dynamic of stuff, does that shake
Yes.
the system up? Does that bring new shit here?
Yeah, especially you have an open portal.
Woohoo!
Yeah, congratulations. Congratulations, it's a portal.
What if he came with his own ghost too?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Or just his energy itself attracted something to come through the portal specifically to interact with him.
All right, and here's the other thing we got to kind of briefly talk about. Now, I can't honestly say, I don't know if this was on my arm before or after this night terror, but I was having a terrible night terror, and I am getting my arm burned by this weird, he's holding me down, weird, kind of a creepy, like a Freddy Krueger situation type of a thing, but it's not Freddy Krueger. Let's not get it twisted, Denny's.
I was twisted for a second. So.
But you know, dreams don't make sense, but they do make sense. Okay, so long story short, I remember getting burned in my arm right here in the dream. And later on in the day, I noticed that same spot of my arm, there's something going on, and it hurts, and that started to form. And it's a burn mark of sorts right on my arm. It's now scabbing up a bit. Now, I don't know if that was there before. I could have easily bumped that somewhere, had a dream. But does Freddy Krueger shit, do you believe in that stuff? Do you believe you can get burned in your dream and then all of a sudden... Okay, for example, let's say Beckett has a dream about me and he cuts off my ponytail and then he wakes up. Fuck, Bert's ponytail's in my lap. Do you believe in that kind of shit?
I think that, if anything, in particular to what you did, if you had that, obviously it's not a Freddy Krueger, but you could have had a spirit interacting with you. You just thought it was a dream. Because if you were in the night terror stage, you wouldn't have been able to defend yourself because you would have kind of almost been in a sleep paralysis kind of thing. And something could have interacted with you enough to leave that mark on your arm. That's a possibility. Now, the skeptic will say exactly what you said. You did it earlier in the day. You weren't even conscious of that you did it, but your brain at night was conscious. So it showed you in nightmare form that you had burned yourself.
And that's why I wanted to be honest about that and say, look, it could have happened during the day. But I do find it odd that same exact spot is where the burn mark happened. Beckett, thoughts?
So it's super interesting, but it also could be something like where you're in your sleep, maybe you hit it.
Yeah, that you know, you ever have that where you have to pee in your dream?
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to find a urinal, anything, and that's the main focus, the storyline of your dream.
100%.
And
Yeah,
you wake
absolutely.
up and you have to piss like a racehorse.
Oh yeah, if you complete that dream, you'll pee yourself in your dream if you start peeing.
I've yet to complete a dream. I've
It's
never
like
pissed
falling to
myself.
my death. I wake up the millisecond before and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta pee.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's weird. I've had that exact dream.
we're honest people here, Vickie. But dreams and spirits, are you going on record saying they are connected?
Yes, especially if it's a loved one that you're dreaming about. That's usually a visitation. It's an actual visitation.
I've got this cat here locally. It's weird, and it doesn't do this to other houses because I've been charting this cat, Denny's.
I know you have. I've heard about this cat a lot.
It will stay in my driveway. It does a weird thing, man. It just sits there, and I'll walk out, and it just stares at me as if it is like it knows something, Vickie. And then it kind of gives me a and walks away, and then it'll shake its ass and look back at me. And then somebody told me, "Hey, are you sure that's not your mom?" Reincarnate. I'm like, damn, dog, it's shaking its ass at me. The reason why I bring that up is I know animals are a big topic of weird and whatever. When it comes to spirit form, do you see that a lot where you feel humans come back as an animal to give a message to humans?
I haven't seen that. I know a lot of people believe in dragonflies and butterflies and
Cardinals?
robins, things like that. I think that if your first thought when you see something like that it was sent by somebody you love, then that's your first thought and go with it. I personally do not think that we're reincarnated as animals.
When I was talking to my sister about how I saw a red cardinal as I was praying about my mom and, meditating about my mom, and a red cardinal appeared. As I'm telling her that story, a red cardinal appears in front of me. Is that spirit or is that coincidence? I know you don't know that answer, but because the skeptic says it's coincidence. The one that wants the game-winning home run and everything's magical.
To me, it's kind of like midway with that. I would say that the cardinal is not your mom, but maybe she had a hand in bringing it there. That it's not physically her inside that cardinal, but she had a hand in rounding that cardinal up and making sure it landed in front of you.
Denny's Beckett says he's the resident skeptic, but you really are. Signs from loved ones sending animals to visit them to make sure you're okay? Thoughts?
Kind of like Vickie was just saying. I think maybe it could have influenced. I guess if humans exist only in memory after death and something reminds you of it, then I guess maybe there's some magic to that, I guess.
I agree, but it's kind of you're making your own. You're kind of finding your own magic.
You're attached, and then every time you see it, it reminds you. I mean, that's a great thing to have as a human, because after somebody leaves, it's pretty finite.
Right.
So I mean,
but you know how you and I have talked about energy and wavelength, and sometimes as the skeptic, we bridge into what they talk about with like frequencies and everything. So, the law of physics of bridging science to what we're talking about with supernatural and everything is that you can never create or destroy energy. It exists.
You're right. It always exists.
It always exists.
It just transfers.
So whether you believe in a soul or we're just blobs of energy and frequency and whatever, because you like the frequency like me thing, like where does that energy go? Right? So it's got to go somewhere.
You're right.
Whether,
So, I mean,
whether it dissipates or it stays in a collective bond. Like, because sometimes people think, oh, well, that defies science. I'm like, hang on. Sometimes science makes you think more that there's a higher power, more that there's
freaky deaky too.
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes they can support it.
Like everything, politics or whatever, it's either this or that. Why does it have to be science and God? Why can't it be both? Why can't there be science and spiritualism mixed together, making the whole
To
thing
your
work?
point,
That probably makes the most
to your
sense.
point, what I've learned in life is nothing is either this or that.
It really
There's
is.
nothing.
It's hardly
So
ever.
people, whether they, whatever, topic we could come up with that was polarizing, people always say all this or none of this. And like people run to their corners and whatever, but things that we all agree on, it's never this or that. It's always a mix
right.
of things.
And when you really kind of look at all the things in your life, matters of the heart type of stuff, it's really never this or that. There's a lot of nuance in there that every situation's a little bit different, and every set of circumstances may change every situation.
Millions of variables.
Yeah.
Millions of variables, whether it's ordering a sandwich or walking your daughter down the aisle.
That's why I'm such a bad breaker-upper in addition to being a procrastinator. Like I was like, there's so many things, and sometimes like the breakup can seem like the obvious decision, right? And then you're like, what's more complicated than that, you know? Because, like, yeah, as much as your friends might think that the girl sucks or whatever.
Oh boy, how much whiskey have you had?
Not enough.
You want to get your boy? you want to get your boy in the microphone?
That cup's looking empty.
But it's never a simple decision. There's always like tons of nuance that comes into things.
Well, that's why social media can suck at times because someone will get a headline version of something, and I'm talking about just any kind of a headline. It's either this or that, and a lot of times you don't know the details of a situation unless you're in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You only hear one side of the story.
There's always 3 sides to every story.
And what are those 3 sides, Beckett?
The 2 people, and then what a third person would say was the story.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a combination of the other two.
One more. Ask Vickie. Can a ghost intentionally change one's life like an Ebenezer Scrooge type of situation?
I don't see why not.
Let's say Beckett's just he's a duck sucker. A ghost comes in there, changes his life. Have you seen that before?
No, I can't say that I have, but that doesn't mean it can't happen.
But doesn't
So are you saying the ghost, by interacting with him, changes his life, or him seeing a ghost shocks him and it changes his life?
I'm saying that kind of an Ebenezer Scrooge kind of a thing where ghosts visit
encounter.
him
Well-
and he kind of changes his perspective because of the ghost.
Well, if you say you don't believe in an afterlife and you're living your life based on, I don't have to care, when I die, and you come face to face with a ghost and you realize there is something afterwards, that's going to change your life.
You're going to change everything.
And if you don't change, you are just dumb as shit.
That's what Ebenezer Scrooge did, man.
Yep.
That's what kind of ayahuasca did for me, as cheesy as that is. Like, it kind of did that. It just kind of like, it's almost like a little peek hole, right? And you're kind of like, yeah, you kind of look around and you come back and you're kind of like, yeah, life's way more interesting than me thinking, driving my car, sitting in fluorescent bulbs at the office and whatever. Like, you actually have a time to like think about the spirituality and everything that goes on.
As humans, we do tend to worry about a lot of things that really don't mean diddly dick
Nothing.
in the grand scheme. I mean, I'm not saying things don't matter because that's the
You got to pay your bills. You gotta
Yeah,
have kids.
I do. I think a lot of stuff matters. Of the heart stuff matters, but we all get gassed up. And I'm the collective human spirit. We get gassed up about a lot of shit that really doesn't matter. 90% of the time, it does not matter.
I would
That's
agree.
true.
We're quite emotional creatures.
That's true.
That's we are.
All right, very good, Vickie. Nice job. Nice job. Got this message or this little email. I had a premonition that my sister was gonna die in an airplane, and the next day she did. On her way flying back home from not Philadelphia. I'm just kidding.
Forget that.
It is Pennsylvania though. It's flying back from Pittsburgh. Her plane went down. Just how I envisioned it. Yeah, I think premonitions are real. Aubrey from West Palm Beach, and she's a big KV. Very nice person. My question is, premonitions, something we've talked about many times here on the podcast. Beckett, thoughts on something like that? Obviously, that premonition was real. That's not just a coincidence. You have a vision or a feeling the plane's going to go down, and it goes down. Or, as the naysayer would say, okay, planes crashing are a common thing. It's a common fear. If I know Beckett is going to go on a plane, I'm worried about him. I'm obviously going to have a premonition of it going down. What are your thoughts on that?
So I could argue both sides of it. I could say that the person was a stewardess. They fly all the time, so the person has a dream because they're worried because they fly so many times and whatever. The other side of it is that I've had deja vu before, which has freaked me out. And I think I've brought this up on the podcast before. This is the best way I can frame it. As I've been older, I've had things happen to me that are way too coincidental to be a coincidence, right? And it really, A, freaks me out. B, I think it's cool. And it makes me think that there is something bigger, right?
Something cosmic about
Yeah.
it.
And I think with premonition, you're kind of like, we talk about this, like only dogs can hear dog whistles, right? And we talk about how you and especially Vickie tap into something that we don't hear. We don't see, we don't feel, right? So just because I don't hear, I don't see, I don't feel doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Dog whistle proves that, right? Radio frequencies prove
Absolutely.
that, right? So as I've become older, I have a way more open mind as it relates to all that stuff.
Yeah, we got so many emails about premonitions to the point where we just would be reading premonition emails all day.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring a Joe Ponton to the stage. Joe Ponton to the stage. Oh,
Joe,
yeah.
Joe,
Look
Joe,
at that
Joe.
ass. Oh, yeah. Shake that thing. Joe said he had a premonition about his son. Mr. Ponton, tell us your experience.
So I don't think we really talk much about Deb, but I married the girl next door from birth when I was 33, and we didn't start dating until we were 32. She was told, because her first marriage, they tried to have kids, and she was told she couldn't. So we went and had some second and third and fourth and a fifth opinion, and we were told that the only way we would be able to be parents would be through adoption. She had a bad history of endometriosis. She had a cyst burst. She had to have one ovary partially cut away. So she had there was a lot of trauma down there. So after our fifth consult in 2007, we were still engaged. We weren't even married yet. The doctor said, look, it's not possible. We conceived natural 2 weeks later, but I had a dream. I woke up from the dream, and this was my premonition. There was someone standing in our closet holding a baby, and I got out of bed. Excuse me. I literally walked around the bed and was like, "Who are you?" And was looking at this person holding a baby. And Deb goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "You don't see that? This guy in overalls is standing there." Now, Deb was the girl next door from birth, but we weren't friends. We weren't close friends. We were friendly, but her family didn't like my family. So fast forward to this night, I'm describing this person to her, and she starts just breaking down crying. I'm describing her uncle who passed away a year and a half before, and he was holding a baby. I said to her that night, I said, I don't think we're going to have a problem having a child. We conceived, like I said, 3 months later, and we had all kinds of issues with Bray pre-birth.
That's your son.
That's not my son. Sorry, Braden. But the pregnancy itself was great. Fast forward 2 years, and she has to have an emergency hysterectomy. And the doctor says, the ovary that was rebuilt 10 years ago, there's no way he was conceived off of that one. There's no way he was conceived off that one. And we couldn't find the other ovary because of the endometriosis. So you have a miracle.
Wow.
And I saw him, and I knew. So when Bray was born, he had all of Uncle Wayne's mannerisms. That was the gentleman who was holding him in my premonition. He still has some of his mannerisms. But he would reach out for different things when he was little. And Uncle Wayne came to visit, and my father-in-law even saw. I mean, it was just, there's no way that it wasn't as genuine as it still feels today, telling the story, and Bray's 14. And Deb had to have an emergency hysterectomy when he was 2. It was so many different things that he is a true miracle.
Wow, I didn't know that story. Wow.
Look at that miracle.
Wow, that's
Huh?
amazing.
God, I hate getting emotional on this damn program.
I love it. That's a good story. I didn't know that story.
We bring out tears here. We also bring out beers. If you need
Tears
a
and
beer,
beers.
I got some more
I
whiskey
got
for
beers,
you.
and I'm ready for.
I got some more emotional whiskey here.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I'll cry next if you want.
So, is that a true premonition, or?
Yeah, I think it was a permanent. He was coming there to give you a warning, a signal that this is going to happen. You just had to be patient. And there were actual eggs in that other ovary that they couldn't find because of endometriosis. That's the only logical. It wasn't.
There's a logical explanation. It
Wow,
just
you know a
makes-
lot about embryologists.
But yeah,
Wow, that's an
Well,
amazing story.
nice, Ponton. We
Thanks,
love
brother.
it.
That's great.
Great job.
Thank you for sharing. That was awesome. That was a great story.
I love
All
that
right,
story.
Beckett. Next podcast, I expect some fucking tears from you.
All right.
Tears equal ratings.
But when you were talking about the premonition of the plane going down, like Beckett said, you anticipate, you always have in the back of your mind that your plane may go down. My sister, when she would have been in her early 20s, I think, she had a premonition that her boyfriend was going to die while changing a tire on the side of the interstate, where that was a little more specific.
Whoa.
And
very
she
much.
dreamed that, and he ended up having to go at the last minute on the road. I don't know where he was headed, and he was killed on the side of the road while changing a tire.
What the shit?
Yeah.
So, did you know that before that had happened, Vickie? Was that story told? Did she say that, Vickie? I keep having this premonition about that.
No,
Was
she
that on
just
the
said-
record?
No, she had told us. She said, I had this dream. She called it a dream. I have this dream that Ernie is going to die while changing a tire on the side of the road. Or Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy.
Jimmy, Ernie, look,
Whatever.
your heart's in the right spot.
A long time. It was the 70s, okay?
It was the
Ernie's
70s.
a 70s name.
It was the early 80s. No, I'm just, that's great stuff. Yeah, send us the premonition stories. I love them. We've got a lot of feedback on that.
People
but
have a lot of premonitions.
And people like that, whether it's building a business, and not to be cheesy, but I think it's relatable, and who knows what kind of premonition it was, and maybe it was a premonition. One of our most famous moments in American history, one of the most famous speeches is I Had a Dream speech,
yeah.
right? Which
Absolutely.
we've come closer and closer to. You know, it's a continual work in progress, you know, but that's one of our most famous speeches that we have. And at the time, it seemed totally unfathomable, not unfathomable, but like off in the distance, right? And then, you know, we get better and better all the time, you know? It's interesting.
Well, you know, I think it might be a lot of deep stuff, a lot of great
Bring down the
stories.
deep.
But I think with that said, it's time for a palate cleanser. It's time for some
Denny's Random Facts!
So sweet. Denny's does a great job. He hunts. He's a hunter on the internet. He finds great facts. We've learned a lot. I mean, come on, guys. Bicycle face.
I have to scour these days because you guys have heard years of facts from me.
Yeah, welcome to World Record Wednesday.
Yeah, I hear you.
We're a lot more we're a lot more learned because of Denny's.
You guys
When
are.
you're on the air longer, you start running out of shit. Vickie is our awesome educator. She's going to grade our sweet Denny's. If she loves it, she gives him an A. If she hates it, she's been known to give him an F. All right, Denny's, the floor is yours.
So bread has kind of been ingrained into human societies, and we've always adopted it into our cultures.
Big bread fans here.
So there's been a lot of folklore built around bread, and I found this particular loaf of bread called cockle bread. Have you guys heard of this?
Cuckold bread?
Cockle. Cockle bread.
Your wife's lover holds it.
I mean, it sounds a lot like cuckold, Denny's.
It does.
I'm just saying.
It does. Well, so some of the folklore that was developed is when you're making a loaf and you're forming it, if it formed a hole in the middle of the loaf, they would call that a coffin, and that would predict an upcoming death. Also, if the yeast failed to rise, that meant you were cursed by a witch, and that if you scored it in a cross fashion, it would then cancel the witch's curse, which I guess kind of started the shape they do the cross on bread. It was kind of a folklore. Well, anyway, so cockle bread was used by young ladies to win a lover because the bread was made by kneading the dough with the girl's buttocks.
Well, this is the best story. And now I'm getting a bone piece.
In fact, there was a rhyme that went along with it that you would sing while making the cockle bread, and it goes, "My granny is sick and now is dead, and we'll go mold some cockle bread. Up with my heels and down with my head, and this way we'll mold our cockle bread."
Boy,
I know,
That's good
I
stuff,
know.
man. I like it, but
So what you had to do was break off a morsel of the bread and feed it to whoever you desired, and it would influence your love with them.
Vickie, I mean, you know where I stand.
How high were you when you made this story up?
As high as possible. all the
And
time.
how high were you when you just gave that fact?
Oh, so high in both cases.
Okay.
I was so hyped when I found cockle bread.
I love cuckold bread.
cockle bread.
What's the grade?
There are so many facets to it. So it has to be an A, but I'm sitting here trying to figure out how you're going to knead it with your ass.
Oh,
So-
we can. Oh my gosh, we can make this happen.
Oh. Well, I have one of the flattest asses on the planet.
No,
so-
you don't. You have the second flattest.
I mean, I appreciate it, Bird.
Stand aside, boys.
You know, no. you-
Flapjack ass Pennington over here.
Mine looks like a bent spoon.
It looks like somebody came into my house at night and stole my ass.
I'm with you, dog. I definitely don't write home about it, but
We ain't got that Beckett booty.
Maybe that's how twerking started.
it definitely didn't start here.
It looked like I twerked my ass off. I left it at the club.
This is kind of just a cool fact. At any point in time, 0.7% of the world's population is drunk, meaning they've had 3 or more drinks.
Speaking of,
As as I'm reading this, 56 million people are currently drunk.
56 point. Whoa.
We should start a Facebook group.
For real, but you can
I
rest
can't,
assured.
I can't do any more social media shit.
Rest assured at all times.
You have to run it.
0.7.
Okay, say that number again. I was talking over you, Danny.
0.7% of people across the entire planet at all time at all times.
Yo, Vickie, you want to make a .8?
You didn't bring me a cup in here.
Because I didn't think you would fucking do whiskey.
Nah, I'm good.
See, I knew it. Not Beckett. Danny, the floor's yours.
All right. Well,
Was that it? That was the end of the phone.
Oh,
just
yeah.
at any point,
Okay,
0.7% of the world's
see,
probably
see.
for crunk.
You can't go in with the butt kneading thing and follow by a few drunk people. It's no.
In my defense, speaking of drunk people, I kind of feel like I stepped over Denny's around that fact. I think you're maybe grading me and not Denny's on that.
I mean,
No,
it's
I'm
good.
grading him.
Oh, damn. I tried to.
Yeah.
I get it. It was nice.
Salute.
All right. Just to think, I guess to put into perspective how much the Earth changes constantly, the continental plates drift at the same rate that human fingernails grow, which is a millimeter a week. The tectonic plates, which divide the continents, blah, 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 the heat pushes them out, and they've been separating. Start off with the concept of Pangea has spread out to what we have currently, but it ends up being 1 to 1.5 inches a year. It's how much every single year the planet is separate. All the continents are separated.
It's like a person's teeth shifting in the night.
But think about that. The longer we live, the farther. It's just everything's gonna explode.
Well,
It really will.
happy holidays.
It really will. I mean, at some
scared.
point, it will separate.
Kiss your dick goodbye. It's all going to end.
But
Earthquakes, volcanoes, everything.
But as two continental plates go away from each other, two others come closer together.
everything bunches. That's what causes earthquakes, volcanic activity,
Yeah, but
erratic weather.
But say Europe and North America are drifting apart. That also means
Eventually
that
they'll
we're coming
collide
together
into another one as they keep separating.
So
for
I have a
sure.
new mountain range to ski.
Well, so they conceptualized that Pangea existed, where it was all the
Originally.
continents were, and then they just spread across the entire globe.
Oh, Pangea love to spread it.
So you can imagine after they all spread.
Sorry, Vickie. It's my third whiskey. I apologize.
We were talking cockle bread earlier. I get it. I guess
Denny's got me off. I
should have saved that for last. In hindsight,
Bread, cockle, come on.
that should have been an ender. I don't know what I was thinking.
No, I love when you talk dirty with Pangea shit. Vickie, again, I think I ruined that factoid
No,
too.
I don't know. If
No, you improved that one.
Oh, damn! Vickie!
I
like
know.
the continental.
That's like you
That's what
threw
we call
in
the
some
continental
vocabulary.
The Pangea. I like bringing up Pangea when I can.
You threw in the vocabulary. I'm gonna give you a B minus.
All right. I like
But you
it.
think he was kind of more hiding behind vocabulary?
Yeah,
and a lot of fluff.
it was a
not
little-
lot of stuff.
It was a
Tectonic.
flurry of stuff there, but I fell for it.
All right, whatever.
I love when I get emails. Vickie and Jaybird were so hard on Denny's tonight. He's such a good guy. Don't be mean to Denny's.
I'm glad you guys
That's
are
how I
getting my
hear it when I read
emails.
it.
All right. So this is
Just 7 more facts, Denny.
Yes, yes. So check this out. If you die alone in the Netherlands, someone will write you a poem and recite it at your funeral. They started a thing for lonely folks who pass away with no next to kin or to claim after their death, that they all came together and decided they should at least provide one person at everybody's funeral.
That's great.
I love it. I
Pretty intense,
do.
right?
We should get that going here.
I love it so much.
So it started pretty recently in it was a Dutch tradition that just started in 2020. It's pretty new, and it started off as a small project in Amsterdam, and now it has grown countrywide in Netherlands. So I wonder if that's going to spread because it's pretty recent.
All right, well, you just gave me an idea for some homework for y'all. We're all going to write a poem for each other and act like we're dead.
Well, so check this out. It's gotten so popular now that they hold a year-long contest. And people, so it's a contest that every time somebody dies, you can write, and everybody submits it, and they just each month will pick the best one and have that person show up.
So
and
it's
read
not
it.
at all about the heart and the spirit. It's about the who's the
Competition,
best and
yeah.
It
shares and likes. Just like anything.
Just like
The
anything.
heart gets kind of withered away.
It does. It becomes a business.
I love that one.
That's
yeah,
great.
the concept of it, that's definitely
I
an
think
A.
it's great.
You think you got some good some good?
Can I write a limerick if I get your name?
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Well, so what if we had to write poems? So you would have to write a poem about the person at death. They have to research them about their life. The person that submits it, each person that submits has to write accurately about that person's life.
As long as I can write a haiku about you. And I rhyme. That was good, Denny.
It was good.
I give it an A, but I'm not the educator.
Yeah, I gave him an A already.
Well, I didn't hear because I'm drunk.
And you got earmuffs on.
This is not the. My hair looks like Who Did It and Ran right now, so it's. Girl, you get it. Your hair looks great, though, by the way.
No.
You guys want to hear about tectonic plates again?
No.
All right, one more, Denny, so we'll let that go. One more.
So check this out. I never thought about it, but we have security systems. Somebody breaks into your house. Some people have dogs. Some people have baboons. Some people use security. It's just throughout history we've always tried to find ways to keep ourselves safe with walls and stuff. But in 17th and 18th century Japan, this is such a clever way. They installed squeaky floors as their security. They would intentionally squeak. And the people in the resident would know which planks to walk around, but they were designed to intentionally squeak. So when intruders come in, the squeaky floors would wake everybody up. It was the best way they could think of back in the 17th, 18th century.
So we got old-timey security systems.
They were designed intentionally to rub nails against jackets and clamps, creating a squeaking noise. And that was the pretty elaborate security system of the 17th century.
Vickie, we're talking 17th century, old-timey security systems, rubbing nails together. Yeah. Thoughts?
Tectonic plates.
You just ruined it. No, you had me at the 1700s, so that one's an A. I love history.
Yeah. How would you? That's such a cool concept to think. I was wondering, how would you have a security system back then, or even alarms? They used to hire people to come and knock at your door.
I would see like string and some pots and stuff across the doorways and stuff like that. But.
How fucked were things in the 1700s? Good God.
Well, yeah, I think it was pretty rough, especially in Japan back then.
Yeah. You ain't got to whisper to your dog.
I think it wasn't necessarily
say it with volume.
A great air, which is why they had it.
Well, just think back in the day. You're living in the 1700s. If somebody wanted to fuck you over, you got to go to the mat. You're going to have to defend yourself. They can murder you. No one's going to find out. They didn't have no DNA back then.
Do you think doxing in the 1700s was worse? Or not as bad,
but the way they
didn't have social media, but you lived in small town.
The way they would dox would go, Daddy's just killed and fucked my cow.
That's what they would do.
I mean, it's gonna take a long time.
Small town would be rough. I mean, the Scarlet Letter. I mean, that's a prime example of.
My first year in college was a very small town, and I learned really quick that. All of it's true. They know when you blink. They know when you piss. They know. They really do.
They know whose car is in your driveway.
They do. Shit that you would never even think of. Why the fuck do they care that I ordered Burger King on a Tuesday night at 7 p? But they know.
Yeah, you're right.
Imagine if you are, I don't know, slutting it up like a Beckett.
Think about Kevin's hometown, Logan, Ohio. We went and visited that. That was a small-ass town. That was a town where gossip would travel, guaranteed.
I wouldn't say it's stuck in 1989, but I would say it's stuck in 93.
I'd say it's made it to the 90s.
It's made it to the maybe mid-90s, Vickie. That was a weird fucking trip, dog.
People there were from a place at a time.
It was weird. And Ohio's pizza sucks.
They just have a very different concept of pizza out there.
We went to the Pizza Crossing, Beckett. It's where Kevin grew up, and it was voted #1 in USA Today for Ohio's best pizza.
Was it deep dish?
It was.
Midwest is a little deep.
I can't tell you that it was deep, but it was heavy as fuck.
It was dense dish.
But you have to put yourself in a perspective of winter.
No, I don't.
It's more chilly.
No, fuck that.
More
I can be cold to make good pizza.
More chilies, more spaghetti.
I can make
heartier.
I can make good pizza. In fact, my argument would be if you're fucking freezing yourself out in the snow, you should make good pizza. There is no excuse to make shitty pizza.
Go out there and just make normal ass pizza, and you would crush.
It was the
fucking. It just didn't have regular pizza.
It was so bad. We couldn't believe it.
Every place was.
What city has the best pizza?
I don't know because I haven't been to every city.
That's a tough question.
It's got to be New York City.
Everybody's gonna fight you on that.
Beckett.
I mean, yeah.
You might as well start talking about politics now.
Yeah, that is almost as controversial.
Vickie, do you have a slice of pizza or a pizza place that's no?
I don't like pizza, remember?
I don't. I drink so much.
That didn't get out of your house. I get it out of your house anytime I don't know, like, the Star Wars thing. She doesn't like pizza?
He's too scared to tell me to do that.
Get out of here. I ain't scared of it. I don't sweat Dickie.
I ain't scared of no ghosts.
I'm not as scared of no ghost, but I am scared of a ghost hunter named Vickie. All right, what are we talking about?
The one thing I wanted to bring up, I know you usually do tech and sex, but today, Neuralink, one of Elon Musk's company, just announced they had a chimpanzee, a monkey, come out. They have a Neuralink implant in his brain, and the monkey, they did a demo. Kind of like, how Steve Jobs used to do demos when he was
Comes
releasing the
out, clicking his
iPod or
button.
the iPad, whatever.
Or the iPad.
They'll peed. I'm originally from West Virginia. So he comes out, this monkey comes down, and it types on the computer, the monkey, with its brain, that it wants a snack. Then it picks the snack. Snack gets delivered. Whole deal. First demo, they're getting ready to launch one of their first Neuralinks in the next couple weeks. One of their, who knows where it goes, but one of the first thing they want to work with veterans and disabled people. Like, say they lost mobility of their arm or whatever. That's one of the first things they're going, because you feel like society won't push back a lot on that, right? Who knows where it goes, but a lot of people that are seeing what happened with the monkey type with his brain are like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's also the scariest thing I've ever seen.
I gotta tell you, monkey snacks. You guys are about to see that in about a couple minutes because I'm gonna be just acting a fool in my kitchen, eating so many snacks,
Yeah.
jumping around like a monkey.
What do you think about it, Denise? Do you think it's a bad
think
thing,
that's-
good thing?
I think it's cool. I think it's good. I mean, what was it? Remember Coco the monkey or Coco the gorilla, right? It was
They learn sign language.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a cool story about that gorilla. When it visited Mr. Rogers, do you know that?
Yeah.
He mimicked him. He went up and he helped him take off his shoe because he saw him do that every day on the show. And they thought that was a pretty momentous moment because he remembered something he had seen and attached it to a person and then went and helped them do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're pretty smart.
No, they're next level.
Jane Goodall
Smart.
wasn't traditionally educated. She went to...
For people who don't know who that is, because I know who you're talking about, quickly tell the good people who that is.
She's pretty close to the woman on your shirt, in my opinion, Mother Teresa.
That's not Mother Teresa.
yeah,
That's
that's
Hulk
That's
Hogan.
Brother Teresa.
Mother Teresa. No more whiskey for Becky. That is not Mother Teresa. That's Hulk Hogan.
I just saw the silhouette through a haze.
That's awesome.
Mother Teresa.
Hulk Hogan in a Mother Teresa outfit for the listeners. It's amazing.
Please tell me, if you're watching this, please tell me you can see that.
Oh, yeah, you can see that.
You're probably going to go to hell for that one.
I know.
That's great, though.
So what Jane Goodall did is she was I think she was married to a Nat Geo photographer. And back then, remember, that was Nat Geo. That's how the world saw what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so she went there, and a woman shouldn't be doing this. What is she doing? Whatever. So she continued to live in Africa amongst the chimpanzees, and she took copious notes every day of what she saw.
She devoted her life.
She devoted her life to it.
She did. She absolutely did. I know, that was awesome.
I'm not trying to.
It was just awesome.
No,
It
everybody
worked
saw
out
it.
so nice.
Everybody saw it. What are you talking about? I apologize, Becky.
No worries.
As you were telling that story, I have headphones on, and because I was standing up, I tried to put another pair of headphones on top of my
I
headphones
missed it.
because I might have had a couple drinks tonight.
I was wondering why Vickie started cracking up in my peripheral.
You're telling this great fucking long ass fucking chimpanzee story, and I'm like, that's great, Becky. Sorry, if you're only listening to the audio, you may not get that, but I tried to put on headphones over headphones.
That's good stuff. But
that's a
long
great
story
story.
short, what happened is she documented chimpanzees putting sticks into holes to get ants on them to eat them. And at that time, science had decided that humans were a higher intellectual species, that we were the only person or the only species that used tools, right? And so she took photographs and video of these chimpanzees using tools to hunt,
She did. They'd stick the stick in, they'd pull it out, and they'd eat the ants
which
off
was
it.
one of the bigger scientific discoveries to happen, right? And she ended up earning her salt. She's one of the most respected people, in terms of animal awareness, like bringing all this stuff to
I was
humans.
kind of over the Cliff Notes version, but that
Furthermore,
I've also had a couple drinks.
If you want another 90 seconds about Jane Goodall that nobody gives a fuck about,
when she was 29,
I've also had a couple drinks.
when she was 19, she graduated from. Yes, but we all love animals.
she
here.
studied chimpanzees.
Yes, that's basically.
But animals use tools, and
She really did a lot. So.
She did a lot for the monkey community,
Well, so
the primate community.
What would happen?
it was
then
bananas.
if they created Neuralinks and we did give them to primates? Would they live amongst us because they could communicate?
Planet
with
of the Apes.
It would be.
Oh,
but
It's Planet of the Apes.
I
they're
like
far
Planet of the Apes.
superior though to us. They're gonna destroy us.
You feel like if all the apes got organized, unified, we're fucked?
Yeah, if they're planning stuff out.
Imagine if the apes and chimpanzees just got a quarter of the birds on their side. So now you've got the
geez.
primates and a quarter of the birds. We're
You got all the drones.
Vickie, we're fucked.
We'd be done.
Oh well.
All right, would you rather?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, would you rather never celebrate any holiday? Now we're talking about birthdays, anniversaries, anything. If you have a kid, you don't even acknowledge it. The kid knows the birthday's there, but you can't acknowledge it. Or lose $10,000 a year in what the government now calls a holiday tax.
Oh, it's devastating.
Let your kid down or pay 10 grand a year on some
10
bullshit.
grand a year.
10 grand.
10 grand.
Yeah, I'd have to do 10 grand a year.
It's easy.
I'd have to supplement. I'd have an OnlyFans.
I'm not giving up 10 grand a year just so my kid can have a... Listen, Jehovah's Witnesses do that their entire lives. They don't celebrate any holidays and they live through it. So I'm
So-
not taking $10,000 out of my money.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Mommy Vickie. I'm so excited. My birthday's today. What am I getting?
Doesn't mean I can't. You're still going to get fed.
Nope. If you're getting fed, it's basic, regular day food.
Fine.
No birthday
Every
food.
once in a blue moon, they can get something else, and we don't call it a birthday. I'm not taking $10,000 out of my money. Okay.
All right. So Vickie's going, fuck you, kids.
It's not changing.
Yeah.
And you are paying the 10 grand.
I think it's
Yeah,
worth
I'd
it.
have to make the adjustment.
I think it's good for child development.
That means you couldn't celebrate Christmas. You can't celebrate Halloween. You have to act like
Arbor Day, any of them.
Let's be honest.
Arbor Day.
I'm not a parent, but I had my experience with my dog taken to the dog park. Taking my dog to the dog park is only what I can imagine taking your kid to Disney World must feel like.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
so
they get so
stoked
hyped.
about my dogs having a blast. In some ways, it was selfish for me to take my dogs to the dog park because I had such a kick out of how much fun they had. So the $10,000 would almost be worth it for me to be selfish, if that makes sense.
It's like
Some-
an asshole tax.
some people are saying that they already pay.
You just have to pay it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Some people are saying they already pay $10,000 per year anyway in holiday stuff. Would you say you pay 10 grand, Vickie?
No.
In holiday stuff? Fuck. No.
Hell
Well,
no.
unless you have a Halloween party that's not that very good.
So let's see. Werewolf, wizard. That's got
$5
to
grand.
All right. My Halloween party was a bust. The
What do you mean? It was the best party I've been to all year.
It was going wolf.
I know why you liked it, but we won't get into details. All right, very good answers. I think I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna pay the 10 grand, Vickie. I know it's painful, but I do like holidays. I couldn't celebrate Halloween.
Any holiday, it'd be terrible.
Beckett's birthday. You couldn't say
You
happy
can't
birthday.
acknowledge it.
You can't acknowledge it. We're all in the room. Denny says, "Hey, happy birthday, Beckett." Everyone says happy birthday, and then we're all looking at you. You're
Be like, yo.
fuck you, Beckett. Yo, fuck you. All right, I love it. Okay. Would you rather always feel like you have to pee really bad 24 hours a day, whether you're awake, whether you're sleeping? It's that road trip piss. You're like, oh,
I
fuck,
hate
where's the bathroom? Or
The opposite of that.
okay.
Yeah, I hate that feeling.
Or every time you fall asleep, you have to lay in a cockroach tank where cockroaches crawl all over you every time you sleep. So if let's say you're on the road in Omaha and you want to go take a quick 10-minute nap, guess what? You're in the cockroach tank, and they're crawling. And yes, they go in your BH. And if you don't know what BH is, it is butthole.
I'll probably do. I guess I have to do always having to pee. That's terrible. I hate that.
You're
feeling.
going always have to pee?
Beckett, every
Yeah, I
time you
can't
fall
sleep
asleep,
on
you have roaches
cockroaches.
crawling on you.
Fine, they're not biting me.
Yes, they do. They are absolutely.
Do they snarl?
Roaches don't bite.
Yes,
You
they
know there are
do.
loopholes in everything he says.
These ones are bred
When's
to
the
bite.
last time anyone was bit by a cockroach?
Do me a favor. When you leave here, I'm gonna send you a mixtape with Billy Joel B-sides and a link to cockroach bites around just the southeast. Not even the whole U.S. Just the southeast.
Interesting.
Shocking.
I'm still laying in cockroaches.
They got big cockroaches, ones that hiss too.
Because I'm that nice guy. I'm riding up with you guys to the Deviltree. I gotta pee. I feel bad because we just left 15 minutes ago.
Did this
and
happen?
It didn't happen, but I'm saying this would be the scenario. And I feel bad about asking to pull over. So by the time we pull up to the Deviltree, my back teeth are floating. Like I have to pee bad, and I hold it, and I hate that feeling.
Am I the only one that thinks the back teeth are floating? Is
So
the
gross.
grossest. That's the grossest.
Oh, it makes
My
my-
stepdad used to say it. I
It
thought
makes
it was
me
funny.
shiver.
There's just certain terms that make me.
I heard somebody say they had to piss. They go, "Oh man, my kidneys are floating," and I like wanted to crawl into something.
Or as Virginia says, "Hey guys, it's time for me to
Drain the beeve.
relieve the beeve."
That's what she says.
She
It's
says
horrific.
relieve the beeve, and it grosses me out every time.
Go, drain the beeve.
No, relieve the beeve is what she says.
She switches it up.
That's aggressive.
She likes to rhyme.
There's an you're right. She does.
It's aggressive. Vickie, thoughts?
Pee.
P.
Pee,
Because
really?
I snore sometimes and my mouth's open. I know darn good and well a roach is going to get in there. So
You see your
you gotta think of
snore.
it.
The lay eggs.
Unfortunately,
Are you a loud snorer?
I don't know. You'd have to ask my
You didn't
cats.
qualify to Denny's as to what kind of roaches they were.
Oh, they were hissing, and when you roll over on them, you hear kind of like a whimper, a
Or
cry.
just that crunchy sound.
The
when you kill
crunchy,
'em.
you know when a roach dies,
Yeah.
is it that white stuff and there's that smell?
It's
All of it. It's the
everywhere.
worst. It's the worst. I think I gotta go roaches, man, because I got one kidney.
Yeah.
I can't ride that train.
Well, you just always feel like you have to pee, right? You
Yeah,
don't actually
exactly.
have
The
to.
loophole, and don't even change it because you just said you feel like you do, not necessarily that you have to all the time.
That's even worse.
It's the worst because you never get relieved. It's a phantom piss.
It's horrible.
I know, but you wouldn't have to worry about leaving a trail behind you.
Yeah, you just know every hour or two.
But you never can decipher between a real piss and a fake piss. And that, my friends, is why you're fucked. Welcome to Would You Rather. All right, last one. Would you rather have your private parts tased 5 times within 5 minutes? And we're talking about the heavy duty stuff, Denny's. Not that bullshit.
All right, the one that with the attaches,
Yeah, where it's like
the prongs. Yeah.
I hate to get dirty, but I'm asking which part of the privates.
The part where it doesn't feel good. The least pleasurable part of your private part.
I can
One-
make, I
one
can make
goes
a
in the
case
do-
for either.
No.
One goes in the dong, one goes in the other.
What? How about this? Just to make sure there's no confusion, you've got your balls, your taint, your dick, and possibly a little bit of your BH, all part of it.
All right.
So it's all fucked.
The taint could have had me out.
All right, I just want to make sure there's no loopholes.
Okay.
Or, great questions, by the way. And I already know fucking Mr. Body's answer over here, but you have to really think about this. Or you have to run 10 miles a day for the next 15 years, and you can never miss. And if you do miss your favorite loved one, boom, curtains.
It's the greatest thing ever.
That's
Forces
terrible.
me to
I'd
be
hate
skinny.
that.
But there are going to be days, Beckett, even a person like you do not want to do 15 miles.
100%, but I'll walk it.
You can't. No, you can't walk it.
You
Yeah,
have to-
you
you have
can't
to
walk
jog?
this. No, it's a 3/4 run at minimum.
Okay.
You cannot. You cannot.
I think I'm gonna
pussyfoot this bullshit.
I think I'm still going run.
Well, of course you are.
Man, I might just get my private taste for 5 minutes
I knew
because
it.
it's so short. I just
I
deal
knew.
with the pain.
When I wrote that, I said Denny's. There's no way Denny's
Oh,
is
I'd be
right.
Hang
so
on.
bummed out to run
5
10 miles
minutes
a
is
day.
gonna 5 minutes tased.
I'll take it.
In those locations is gonna feel like an hour.
Okay, so you've
That's
had
hot.
You're doing horse business all day long. We're talking fucking 17 hours of intense horse shit. You haven't had time
Or this week alone.
Yeah.
It's been a hectic week.
You haven't had time to run that day, and you're 17 hours in, and you now have to, before midnight strikes, you have to get 15 miles, or your loved one, boom, curtains.
No, I get that. I think it's still going run.
Damn, that's terrible.
Vickie,
You know darn good well I'm getting tased.
bye privates. Bye.
I'm getting tased. 5 minutes, I'll take it.
Well, y'all, I had a great time just mixing it up with y'all.
It was fun.
I'm gonna try to get y'all in every sentence I say right now.
It's been real.
So Denny's random fact, a lot of people give people shit about y'all. They say like, oh, it's not proper English. In fact, it was proper English. It's from ye all. From Old English. And that's how
Not
y'all
ye
became
all.
on. It was because of Old English. Like
love
the
that.
most formal English possible was ye all. That's how y'all came in.
Damn, Denny's just texted me. Why does Beckett always have to try to fucking overshadow me with facts? Damn, Denny's, I hear you.
I'm like, dude, what's Beckett stepping on my pit for?
I do want to thank the great people who are listening to the Weird Whatever podcast. You guys rock. You are the weirdos. You guys make it work. Let's get into some local music.
I love it.
Right? We know this band. They're local. These guys are awesome.
Helmsman, we've hung with them.
The Helmsmen, they are great guys. They bust their dick. They are out there singing for their supper, man. And a lot of these local musicians are. If you are somebody that's local here, listen to the KVJ show, and you write your own music, please send it to us. Send it to me, Jason Pennington, kvj@gmail. Send me a YouTube link. It makes it a lot easier if it's just on a YouTube link. And if you are a musician that writes shit and you're not on YouTube, what the fuck are you doing? Put it on YouTube. Get it out there. It's an easy link to share for everybody.
For real.
But right now we've got the Helmsmen. This is the Ankles. That's the name of the song, Ankles. We love these guys. Guys, thank you for listening. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.
I'm steady laying in the grass. Another hit, let it pass. Son, you're filling up my pores. And you go buy a shirt and dye your hair and type it up for those who care. You watch the world through open doors. And you just think that you think you can fake it. I really hope you can fake it. Go and drive your car 1,000,000 miles and fall asleep on bathroom tiles. Stories told along with age and fall off the tip of my tongue. Well, I guess we had fun, but now it's getting late, and I don't think I can fake this. I really wish I could fake this. Gonna watch the grass grow around my ankles. And I watch the grass grow around my ankles. And